Ando, favourite segment, the stock report, mate.
Davey Pittman, first of all.
Your man, Taylor Collison's.
Taylor Collison's, they look after us, yeah.
It's been great, but lots to talk about this week. Another big weekend in footy. Some big calls to go over from last week as well.
We're just going to quickly go over how good are Collingwood. I mean, Port were ready for that game. They were ready for it, and Collingwood just came out and they were like another level altogether. And you know, when you talk about the rise of the four young players with Dersma and Rosie, Butters, they actually were put back in their box a little bit, and they got to dust themselves off. They got a big game this week, but they were ruthless. Collingwood, ruthless.
They were fantastic. I tipped Port. I thought Port are going to get them there flying.
I was as well.
How good was Stevenson's first quarter? Only second year, rising star from last year.
Yeah.
He turned the game on and was fantastic, wasn't he?
Powell couldn't get the ball out of centre. Yeah. And that was Grundy. Obviously when you play against a player like Lysart, who they played, and I think Lysart probably beat him last year in the grand final, and he gets the medal and Grundy doesn't get anything. You could just sort of see that. I just knew he was going to be ready to really. He was going to have a crack, and he was outstanding.
And Collingwood, I don't know, did you watch the game on Friday night? Collingwood's, what they did before the game as well with the young lad.
Fantastic. That was absolutely fantastic. And I'd really take my hat off to the Collingwood Footy Club, and they've done it absolutely beautifully. And the young kid, what a day to remember. And his family, of course.
And for the family
fantastic
as well.
Yeah.
But it's good to see it televised.
Yep.
And I was listening to Bucks last night, and he said we should. It's not just because they played Friday night. It's been televised, and that.
Yeah.
All clubs do that, which is a great thing about footy, and we shouldn't be hiding that. I think we should use that.
Let's buy it.
We should put it out there.
For Taylor Collison's point of view, let's buy that.
Yeah,
I like it.
And promote the game, because it just promotes the game to a different crowd as well, that probably look at footballers in a different way. So
Yeah, definitely.
I think
agree
it's
with that. It's a
brilliant,
good call.
and we should see more of that as well. So
what questions we got? What are you going to smack me around with tonight?
Well, Hawthorn have been beaten by Stevens Melbourne on the weekend. And the alarm bells are starting to ring at Hawthorn.
Yeah, I think so. They just go over the line against Carlton. I couldn't believe Carlton lost that game against Hawthorn a couple of weeks ago, and I know I mentioned that last week. But when you Hawthorn, there's something special about Hawthorn. They know how to win a game, and
Alistair Clarkson.
Yeah, Alistair Clarkson. They've got a few players out at the moment. My answer is ask me in 2 weeks.
So, can they make the 8? 2 weeks, you reckon?
Ask me in 2 weeks.
Yep. And let's go to the next one, and Hawthorn Flair as well in Brendan Bolton for 2020. I heard the other night that someone said Carlton should be ringing Alistair Clarkson. Now, Brendan Bolton's straight out of the Alistair Clarkson school.
That's right.
School of coaching.
How to coach. Look, I think he's done a really good job. That they were so far this year that there's been really good positive patches of some good consistency. Unfortunately, not over 4 quarters. And I sort of feel that a little bit like Brisbane were last year. They probably just need a couple of more experienced, stronger players. They're missing a couple of big, strong, key players. Some of their junior players or more inexperienced players are starting to tick a few boxes. Yeah. So, I think he's doing a really good job, and they've got to stay with him.
They're still very young. And
you asked me this last year, and I said, no, I would say sell him. But I just feel that what he's done this year and the style of game they're playing, they can't sustain it. And it goes out of the window with really top teams. Yeah. We've probably got 3 teams that are so far above everyone else at the moment. Yeah. But I think around the rest of the other, sort of 13, 14 teams, I think they're going to show some really good, strong glimpses of what they can show, what they can do next year.
They've shown they're going to be competitive, and to be honest, they got beaten up by North Melbourne that had been smashed in the media, so come out with something.
They were going to come out ruthless. So, you must be happy about that, obviously.
Oh, I'm happy. But
it's the first time you've spoken about it all night, which I can't believe. I thought the first you're going to say to me, Ando, hey, North Melbourne, thumbs up, bye.
Well, I only watched the last quarter. We got outscored by Carlton, so maybe I've got to stop watching us play, because the week before it was no good either. But I think Brendan Bolton, he's the right man for the job. You can't question his coaching.
Yep.
He's come from the Hawthorn system. Success is going to come. I think it's the cattle that's got to come with him, and these players just have to develop. But they've got to bring in some star quality already around that 26 age.
Big players, strong players. Yeah.
Absolutely. So Holding or you're buying?
Definitely holding.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Buying. He'll be there.
I might buy him. Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's it. Got no money.
And this is an interesting one from Rocky. Port to lose the showdown. Not who's going to win, Port to lose.
I think the Crows will win the showdown. Power's being just bashed with injuries. You know, you got Ollie Wine's going to be out. You got Ebert's out.
Likely to be out. Yeah.
So you get to a couple of the rule leaders.
Jonas, their
Jonas, of course, their
co-captain's out
co-captain.
again.
So he's out. So you get a couple of the rule leaders that create that stability. I think it's even going to be harder for some of these younger players when those guys aren't on the field.
Yeah.
And it sort of showed a bit last week when Ebert did come off. Jonas not out there. Ollie Wines is carrying a sore ankle, and we could see the demise of the Paralit at real important parts of the game last week. Crows were great last week.
They did it dirty last week, didn't they?
I thought Pike. I was a bit worried early when Freo really flooded and they played their typical boring game, and I actually asked a couple of Freo supporters, "How do you watch this stuff week in, week out? How do you watch it?" They said, "Oh, we put up with it." But I actually thought Pike said, "You know what? We're going to do what they're doing to us," and they've done it better.
Yeah.
And they completely outscored them, on the scoreboard. But it was tough in the trenches in that forward line of both forward lines to get a kick. So it wasn't going to be a day out for any of the forwards. I mean, Eddie Betts was he was so quiet, and then he kicks the goal of the year, probably the century. That was unbelievable.
Again.
But pretty much every time the ball went either forward line, there was 36 players there. You just weren't going to get
and that's the thing with so little goals being kicked. The 6-6-6 rule wasn't coming into effect. But you look at I was watching on the couch tonight, last night, and they said it was it showed that it was a great game of footy to watch, and it showed that not everything's about goals and points. They're trying to produce a brand of footy that's more goals and points, so it's better to watch. But they showed that ugly footy, low-scoring footy can still be good to watch.
I wouldn't say it was great to watch. I was actually there, and there wasn't too many people out in the crowd saying it was good to watch. So I don't know where they got that statistic from.
I didn't mind it.
It was quite boring in patches because it was just it was just so often it was just too many players around the ball. But yeah, I mean, everyone's got their own point of view. But it just seemed that most of the people that you were asking were saying was a bit of a boring game. But I was so pleased that they wrestled like they did, and the Crows were tough. And I haven't seen it like that this year at all. They were tough in the trenches, and I think they're really going to play some good footy this year.
I tell you what, Himmelberg, he's starting to look like a good selection to bring in. He's finding his feet, isn't he?
He wasn't up against one. By the time the ball was getting down there, he was flying against two or three Freo players, and he was holding his own. He was getting the ball down to he was crashing packs, and gave your half forwards half a chance to get the ball. That was good.
It is, and I'll tell you what, I saw some footage from half time. It looked like a few of the kids were getting frustrated in the Oz kick as well. Big fan of the show, Matty Norman from up at Riverton.
Yeah.
They had the young lads playing Oz kick at half time, and the footy was right there. All the kids have decided to just start a brawl over here, 4 or 5-year-olds.
No way.
They looked like they got a bit frustrated watching the footy as well. So that was pretty funny to watch on Saturday night. So he'll be watching.
I missed
He'll
it.
love that. Yeah.
I missed it.
It was a good
Coronas
laugh.
were cold where I was too, in my little corporate area. It was lovely. Coronas, a couple of little buys. It was lovely. Anyway, going to be a great game. It's
great game.
Because they always are. And
Fantastic
Port will get themselves up after last week. They'll dust themselves and get into it. But the Crows going pretty confident.
Who are you going for on the weekend?
I think the Crows. I think the Crows will win. Yeah.
So you're going to sell Port, no hope to win?
I would say I can't see too much hope for them to win with the injuries they've got. It's going to be a tough one.
And talked last week, Benny Brown struggled a lot. He's come out disappointed. He come out first half and put on fire. He had one kick in the second half, so I'm 30. He hasn't played 4 quarters, but he come out and had a good first half, didn't he?
Oh, you've been smacking around all year. You have.
He needs a second tall to help him.
There's no question. And we spoke about that last week. He was at his best when Petrie was next to him. Yeah. Petrie was the bash and crash. You don't get someone who's 6'7", probably a bit like Joey Danaher, that have got that speed out of the blocks. But if you're on the best backman and they can fill the gap who are they going to sit in front of?
Yeah.
They're going to sit in front of him. Whereas previous year they were sitting in front of Petrie or another big tall, and they just don't have it at the moment. So, but look, they got a win on. They got 2 wins this year.
Need another one this
you're only
week.
good as your last game, and they've won it. So, which is good.
That's it. And another great night, another great stock report. And,
But we should
been
just
fantastic.
thank the Alma Hotel,
should.
no question, and of course Taylor Collisons for the segment. But special thanks to the staff and Mark Rasciuto for the Alma. It's a great spot.
It's fantastic.
It's a great spot.
And don't forget, you can find us on Facebook. The South Australian Footballer, we will have, it's going to go live hopefully tonight before the bounce, its own Facebook page, just for us, Ando. And that'll be put through the South Australian Football. So you can find us on there. You can find us on our YouTube channel, the SA Footballer TV. We've got this show. We've got multiple shows, lots of content on there for all our viewers as well. And to have over 155,000 people supporting us and supporting the show, it's only growing and we're only getting bigger, mate.
Fantastic. We'll be back next week.
Back next week.
Thanks very much for joining us.